Hello and welcome to Current Issues with me, Tarun. Should political parties or individuals attack corporates to further their political agenda? This is the question that we are asking and would be discussing today. And joining us on the debate are Mohammad Khan, he's spokesperson of the Congress Party. We've got senior journalist and editor Ashutosh Mishra with us. And also Anurag Batra, editor of Business World, would be joining us shortly on the debate to discuss this issue. But first, let me put this issue in perspective. Jairam Ramesh, who was the former environment minister, attacked Gautam Adani over 2 or 3 issues, which included a mine in Chhattisgarh, for which your Jairam Ramesh himself as environment minister gave clearance to that mine. The mine is owned by Rajasthan government but mined by Adani. He also attacked Adani Ports business over a 200 crore fine not being levied by the NDA-led BJP government. But the investigation was started in the UPA tenor and the UPA didn't act on it. Adani made it clear that there is no case for a fine. Otherwise, the UPA government wouldn't have sat on this issue for over 10 months without levying a fine, because legally a fine can't be levied. So what we are discussing today is because corporates can't respond, or corporates in India are generally reluctant to give back because they have to do business within the state governments where any government may be in power. So in this case also, Gautam Adani stuck his neck out and made a statement. He said that we got this mine clearance in Chhattisgarh when Rajasthan was ruled by Ashok Gehlot, a Congress chief minister, and in the center was Jairam Ramesh as environment minister. In 2011, the clearance was given. The mine was owned in Chhattisgarh by the Rajasthan government, which will be mined by Adani. In a way, he got clearances during a Congress regime. Now, 5-6 years later, Jairam Ramesh is attacking him. Should political convenience be used as an alibi to make it tough for corporates to do business in India? I'm going to ask this question. First, I go to Ashutosh Mishra, who is there in the studio with me. Ashutosh, what do you think? I mean, this issue, it's very common to level allegations against corporates who actually put in thousands of crores of investment in each project after getting due clearances. Do you think we should be cautious with such things?
I think so, and especially since Mr. Ramesh is himself a ex-minister.
Yes.
He should realize that the laws are made by the government, and none of the corporates can work without being in the good books of the government.
Yes.
The government owns the land. It will help them create the infrastructure.
Yes.
Law and order is with them.
Yes.
So now if you first invite them and then there is a new interpretation,
yes,
which puts the company in a spot,
yes,
it's unfair on the company.
Okay.
Because they have followed the rules as was told to them.
Okay.
Now, because of this change of
yes,
interpretation,
yes,
this, as you were saying, the fine cannot be levied according to law.
Okay.
So why target them? And
okay,
most of the times the corporates just keep quiet.
They can't respond.
They can't respond.
That's a good point. I'm going across to Mohammad Khan, who represents the Congress Party at this moment. Mohammad, can you hear? Mohammad is okay. Anurag Batra joins me on the debate. He is editor-in-chief of Business World. Anurag, can you hear me? Yes, Anurag,
yes,
if you could tell me, hi, what happened in July 6, 2011, Jairam Ramesh as environment minister gave permission to Adani to mine in Chhattisgarh. This mine was owned by the Rajasthan state government in Chhattisgarh. This permission was given. Now mine is in Chhattisgarh, mining started. What happens is July 11 he demitted office. So this was the last decision that Jairam Ramesh took as environment minister. He gave clearance, he demitted office. So he very well knows that he has given the permission to Adani to mine. Now when the time has changed, UPA government is out now and NDA is in, he uses this to attack the very same industrial group. And this attack has been continuing for the past 4 or 5 months. So what we are asking is, should such things be done wherein which corporates are suffocated in country and they are forced to speak out? What do you think should be the political code for this?
See, one has to first realize that the development of this country cannot happen without a collaboration between the private sector and the government.
Yes.
So that is the, driving principle way forward.
Yes.
Second, if you look at investments and if you look at progress,
yes,
it happens when there is no political risk or zero political risk. There is stability and what is decided by one government is honored by the subsequent government, because at the end of the day the government is moving forward. So really, and the third point, I think this whole atmosphere of seeing business people, entrepreneurs as someone who benefits from crony capitalism
Yes.
has to be changed.
Yes.
Because I said, unless until it is collaborative, there will be no progress. Now, if you use these three principles, then clearly Mr. Jairam Ramesh attack is uncalled for.
Yes.
And I must also say that our Prime Minister, and if I may say so, is overly cautious of engaging with the corporate sector. In fact, if there is one sector or if there is a one community that the Prime Minister has not directly engaged with, it is the large corporates, industrial houses, business people, because he really wants to be a Prime Minister of the masses. He wants to be a government for the masses.
Yes.
And in that sense, he's been wearing kids' gloves when it comes to dealing.
Yes.
I think I would like to use your channel and your show
Yes.
to be able to reach out to the Prime Minister and the PMO to say that this, aloof approach when it comes to industrialists and business people will also need to change.
Yes.
Because let's accept this, in any country, whether it's America, whether it's UK, whether it's Australia, whether anywhere in Europe, take Germany, unless until the government really supports
Yes.
and puts its weight behind a project which is supported by a private entrepreneur, the infrastructure development that we are talking of, the economic prosperity that we are talking of doesn't happen.
Okay.
So really, I believe that Mr. Jairam Ramesh comments are, uncalled for. I don't think in this context they are true. And let me also say that Mr. Jairam Ramesh in his book has even targeted the Congress party and some of its leaders, saying that really, two of its senior leaders, and he talks about Mr. Chidambaram's statement. He talks about how Shri Ghulam Nabi Azad suggested to. So really, I think Mr. Jairam Ramesh is in a very angry mood. I think we should just leave him.
Okay. Point taken.
And,
I'm going to
not take
Mohammed
it too
Khan of the
seriously.
Congress party at
But
this
the
moment.
larger
Mohammed, if you could tell me, what happened. The clearances for the Adani Group's mine, which is owned by the Rajasthan government, was given during the tenure of the UPA government. Ashok Gehlot was in power in Rajasthan that time, and environment minister was Jairam Ramesh. Now 5 years later, he comes and attacks the same industrial group to whom he himself gave permission. Do you think that this whole culture of attacking corporates for political convenience should be set aside, because this doesn't set a good example for getting investment in the country, because tomorrow you may be attacked?
Right. Tarun, I was listening to what my co-panelist was saying earlier, and he made a very valid point that yes, of course, business should be allowed to function independently of politics and so on and so forth. But having said that, we must say that over the last 2 years, we've been noticing an atmosphere where business interests are coming closer and closer together with regard to political influence. Now, insofar as this particular issue is concerned, Tarun, let me tell you that the clearance for the mine which was given back then was given to the state government. Mine clearance was zamane mein, as per the rules, was always given to a state government. Mines could not be held by private individuals.
Yes.
In fact, you will recall that the judgment of the Supreme Court, the famous 2014 judgment, in fact, set aside all of these allocations as well.
Yes.
Now, the problem that arises now is not for the allocation of a coal mine. Mr. Ramesh has been very clear. It's with regard to the violations of what is known as the Forest Rights Act. Actually, the name is very lengthy. It's a 2006 Act, right to forest. मैं उसका नाम भूल रहा हूँ, मगर उसका बड़ा लंबा नाम है.
Right.
उस law के तहत, when people are residing in a forest, you first settle their rights. उसके बाद आप जमीन पे take over कीजिए.
Okay.
Mr. Ramesh's consideration is very limited, and he's speaking only on this particular point. He is saying that, boss, you settle the rights of these tribals, either individually or as a community as per the 2006 law.
Yes.
After that, you go ahead with whatever needs to be done.
Okay.
That Mr. Adani is sidestepping the issue repeatedly and
Yes.
turning this into a larger debate about corporates versus political shows you that there has been a wrongdoing.
Okay, I'll go to another issue at this point. I'll go to Ashutosh Misra. Ashutosh, I'll read out a few statements that Mr. Adani made in an interview to a newspaper. He said, there is more politics than logic behind this attack. he also spoke that भूल नहीं जाते हैं political convenience के आधार पर argument करते थे. मतलब political convenience becomes an alibi to attack corporates. Well, he also spoke of one issue in which aircraft which owned by Adani Group, they have a company, they are a scheduled operator, is given on rent to the Gujarat state government. On that issue, he was vehemently attacked by the Congress party. Now he goes on and makes the statement that the Congress party leaders are using an aeroplane which the GMR group owns. So he says even the Congress party rents that plane. So why I am being made a victim? Do you think that this tendency to attack corporates is growing in India, that ye sab chor hai, and this kind of an attitude is not good if we want to increase investments and jobs in the country?
Yeah, you are right. And in case of politicians especially, it's a case of pot calling the kettle black.
Yes.
And if we see the crony capitalism index,
yes,
from 18% we're down to 3%.
Yes.
So we are actually decreasing crony capitalism in India.
Yes.
As of today.
Yes.
In case of as Mr. Khan was saying,
yes,
about the Forest Dwellers Act,
yes,
that he was talking about.
Yes.
Maybe we need to have a look at that.
Yes.
But that does not mean that you start attacking it personally.
You mean the law will take its own course, but you don't turn into a vilification campaign?
Yes. And if any changes were made, it was made by the state government.
Yes.
Not by the company.
Yes.
So if someone is to be blamed, it is a politician.
So the state
or
government and not the corporate that has
yes.
to be. Okay, very valid point. Ashutosh, your Anurag, if you could tell me, if the changes are made by the state government which favored the company, if at all, then is the state government that must be head responsible, not the corporate. But coming to the other issue,
and be brought to answer.
Yes, yes, yes. Achha, there is one
but
more.
Can I also, without going into the
Yes, 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 Anurag, you make your point and I ask you a question.
Technical nuances. Yeah, so without going into the technical nuances, see, in any project, first of all, I'm not advocating that we do not look after the tribal rights or the people who own the land or not care about the environment from a long-term perspective and the laws. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm saying when you're developing new projects, you will have to show some flexibility as you go along.
Yes.
When you're developing projects of that size, the policy has to be dynamic in some way.
Yes.
The people on the ground, the district administration, the state, have to be alive to the developments as they happen when the project goes on stream.
Yes.
So that flexibility should be rewarded or should be appreciated if it is done for the right reasons.
Yes.
Right? So I don't think you should hold that as a negative. That should be seen as an enabler and not as something
Anurag,
else.
I'm making a point.
Just to build on what Mr. Mishra said,
See, when you talk of aircrafts being used by politicians.
Yes, go ahead, Tarun.
Yeah. Now, Adani Group is a non-schedule operator. They own aircrafts as GMR Group owns aircrafts. Now, the Gujarat state government hires aircrafts from Adani's company, which former Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi used and now Anandiben uses. In the same way, Congress uses GMR's aircrafts. So, Adani made a statement that why am I being attacked for using aircrafts because my company is giving aircrafts because the state government is hiring it. So even the Congress uses GMR's aircraft. So do you think this culture must end, in which we start a vilification campaign against corporates just because it is suiting the current political situation of the day and for political convenience?
I'm totally with you. If a aviation company based in Ahmedabad, then somebody who has to move out of Ahmedabad and make Ahmedabad the way, then that aviation company is the best suited aviation company.
Yes.
And there is another large industrialist group that is not in the aviation sector but has interest in infrastructure sector, let me put it. They have an aviation wing.
Yes.
And they went to another large group and said, let's pool our resources together so that we can utilize our aircrafts well.
Yes.
And you know which
Yes.
group I'm talking
Yes.
of.
Yes.
So really it is a common practice to make sure that the aircrafts are utilized and their maintenance happens and they fly, right? Also to make it sustainable financially.
Yes.
No industrialist likes to lose money.
Yes.
So I think It is an uncalled criticism. It's an easy seeing a man and a woman together to make an inference saying, you know, they must be having a relationship, even if they are meeting for professional purposes. It's an easy allegation to make.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to what Mr. Mishra was saying. As I said at the start, the larger issue is when the Prime Minister, when the state governments, irrespective of whose government, are trying to elicit investments into the country in various sectors, in the states, you know, an atmosphere where business people, entrepreneurs who take risk, who bring their enterprise capital, if I may use the word enterprise capital, to make sure that the country moves forward, the projects move forward, employment is generated, investments happen. In that, to look down on industrialists who collaborate with the government, who participate in government schemes, doesn't really do justice to the stated aims of the government. Because at the end of the day, if we really want to bring that 1 crore jobs that our Prime Minister had talked about, we need to be able to do large projects, whether in the infrastructure sector, in the manufacturing sector,
basically you mean this
in the
Jairam
services
Ramesh's
sector,
attack.
and we will have to.
This Jairam Ramesh's attack should be uncalled for.
It's uncalled for. It is a political attack. It is a political attack, and it is a convenient time to make that attack. So I don't think it should be taken as seriously as it is being taken.
Okay, I'm going to Mohammad Khan. Mohammad, while I want you to answer this, I'll read out a few statements that Gautam Adani made to a newspaper. He said that this is unfortunate thing. We don't want to get involved in a political crossfire. Corporate houses should stay away from politics. He went on to say political parties should not unnecessarily drag corporates into politics. So this is a very pained statement in a way, because he went on to say that, okay, I give your aircrafts to rent on the Gujarat government, Congress uses GMR Group's aircraft, so that shouldn't be an issue where corporates are attacked. Would you agree?
Tarun, of course, I don't agree with the text of Mr. Adani's statement. I would also say bada masoom sa statement hai. It's very clever as well, because it says so much without actually saying anything. I will say this. See, I think there is no fundamental difference between what Mr. Batra and Mr. Mishra and I are saying. Of course, corporates should be free to thrive and prosper, but they must do so within the confines of the law. Now, let me tell you something about Mr. Jairam Ramesh, having worked with him for 5 years. He is the last person you would expect to compromise on his intellectual integrity and make an issue out of a non-issue. Mr. Ramesh has come before the public armed with facts, and this is an issue that I can assure you he personally feels very, very strongly about. Forest rights. In fact, when he was the Minister for Environment and Forests in August of 2009, and you can check me on this, he passed a circular. He said that सबसे पहले आप Forest Rights Act का पालन कीजिए, उसके बाद मैं आपको दूंगा environmental clearance or forest clearance. That means earlier what would happen is people would get environment and forest clearance for their projects, but they wouldn't settle the rights of these people. There are several examples. The most famous ones are in Odisha. Now, when this circular came into effect, it was seen as a game changer, right? Suddenly this 2006 law was being applied, and remember, Tarun, we're talking about the poorest of the poor. These are tribals who have absolutely nothing to live on except the land, and this statute protects their rights over the land. Now, when the BJP government came into power, this circular was set aside. Now, this is the first point. So there has been an illegality
here,
I
get your point. And now on the aircraft,
he's not going into any.
Now on the aircraft,
but let me go into the other factor. Yes, now on the aircraft. Now on the aircraft. Yes. Tarun, see, you are making a valid point. And if the points that we were making was confined only to the use of aircraft, then perhaps we would be petty. But our point is not confined to aircrafts. What we are saying is that over the last 2 years, there is a culture of crony capitalism that is being cultivated to benefit 1 or 2 industrialist families. And for that, there are sufficient evidences. Let's go to Australia. Let's look at how gas pipelines are being distributed. Let us look at the GSPC wala jo scam chal raha hai. There is a culture of crony capitalism that is being created, which is, it is our job as the opposition.
But you principally, Mohammed, you principally wouldn't agree that one should attack industrialists on use of aircraft, because then no industrialist will rent an aircraft to a politician, because they'll feel, okay, kal I'll be attacked because my logo of the aircraft is seen or my company's logo is seen with this politician. because nowadays it's common for industrialists to own aircrafts and lease them out. So at least this is
that's a valid point. Yeah,
okay. So Ashutosh, I'm
absolutely, Tarun.
okay. So you agree principally?
That's a very valid point, Tarun.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm coming back to Ashutosh Misra. Ashutosh,
I'm in complete agreement, Tarun. Of course, that if they have aircraft, they should lease them out, but at arm's length and at a cost.
Yes, of
which
course.
is what
That's what
we did with our aircraft.
of course, of
Now,
course.
one thing on tribal rights
Yes.
and forest dwellers' right.
Yes.
Now, it reminds me of that film Avatar.
Yes.
Where the company or the corporate is shown to be the villain.
Yes.
They are going to exploit,
Yes.
mow down those
Yes.
people and
Yes.
chop off the
Yes.
trees. Now, it's the duty of the government,
Yes.
not the company,
Yes.
to ensure that the people are taken care of.
Yes.
Why
so you mean just attacking the corporate is not the solution?
That's not the
government of
solution.
the see, I'll read you a
and we
statement which Adani made. He said no infrastructure building can happen without the state government support. In Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot government gave us land. We were in Congress. We were in Congress. NCP ruled Maharashtra. We were present in 3 states: Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. 2 were ruled by the Congress till recently. So when he was asked, I mean, will you clear this misconception that has happened between you and Jairam Ramesh? He says, no, it was done deliberately. It is politics. So do you think that corporates fear to hit back because they feel that they may be victimized later?
Exactly. And they cannot be on the wrong, as I said earlier also, they cannot be on the wrong side of politicians and bureaucrats.
Yes.
Because what they say today,
Yes.
somebody might take it at a heart
Yes.
and punish them later on, find ways, because the law,
That's
law
a
is
very
interpreted.
good point you made. I'll go to Anurag. Anurag, if you could tell me, are industrialists scared these days to stick their neck out? Because if they say against the Congress party or its leader today in the state, maybe they will have some trouble. Do you think that's why we must be extra cautious when we attack a corporate? Because he cannot go to the media, because generally corporates are reluctant to go to the media. Would you agree with me when I say this?
Let me say today, I'm not from the Congress party, I'm not from the BJP party.
Yes.
I'm not from the Aam Aadmi party, I'm not a politician.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. I edit a magazine, and so let me say from my experience, I think today in the environment that we are living,
Yes.
political parties have become cults.
Yes.
Where there is one person and, whatever that person says, is really followed down. I mean, if you have people in Chennai who wear transparent shirts
Yes.
and then have Jayalalitha's photos, inscribed or put in, what kind of a culture we are living? Similar, I could give you examples of other states. The reason I say that is, if you criticize the political party or an individual who has some say in a political party,
Yes.
it is held against you forever.
Yes.
It is very difficult for people to believe that individuals can be middle of the road, balanced, credible, equidistant from everyone.
Yes.
Everyone who's moved forward must have done something for a certain party for it to move.
Yes.
So if politicians themselves believe that nothing in this country moves forward without it really, being done in a certain manner, then it tells you where we are as a country and why there is so much disillusionment between certain class of people and where all of us are.
Yes.
So really, I think industrialists till today, I mean, if you ask about the Prime Minister's policies,
Yes.
if you ask about how's the progress, everyone will tell you goody things. Even they will not offer constructive criticism,
Yes.
because they are worried that it may be seen in a negative light, and especially not so much the decision makers,
Yes.
but the coterie around the decision makers will go to the Prime Minister or the Cabinet Minister or whoever the ruling party at that time,
Yes.
and tell him or the key people that, oh, this person is anti-us, this person,
Okay, so
rather than
I've
looking at, because if a industrialist is saying something,
Yes.
they know what the realities on the ground are. The government has to collaborate with them.
Okay.
And
Point
again,
taken,
I would
Anurag.
say
I'm
it
moving
in
in
some
for
ways a
closing
wise
comments
thing,
because you're moving out of
as you
time.
know,
I'll start with Ashutosh Misra. What would be your closing comment?
People should understand that companies are there to make money.
Yes.
That is fine.
Yes.
But it does not mean that they are always breaking law.
Yes.
And the laws in any case are to be protected by politicians and bureaucrats.
Yes.
So stop blaming the companies and start voting out politicians and bureaucrats if you think
Okay.
they are unhealthy.
Okay. Anurag, what would be your closing comment?
See, my closing comment would be that right from the Prime Minister downwards, there should be a proactive approach from this government to engage with entrepreneurs and business people across all sectors. I think that should, because the Prime Minister has distanced himself, I think such things. So the Prime Minister should be bold like he is in other things. And second, as a golden rule, criticize in public, praise in, criticize in private, praise in public. I think the industrialists follow that. If they have to criticize, they do it in closed doors where it matters.
Yes.
And rightly so, they praise in public.
Okay, point taken. Mohammed, what would be your closing comment on this issue?
Tarun, to conclude, I would simply say this, that the law is supreme and there is no one, an individual or a corporate, who is above the law. I will simply say, to conclude, that we should not miss the woods for the trees.
Yes.
The fact is, certain very compelling issues have been raised here, and Mishra Saab is right. It is as much the responsibility of the state government as it is of the individual who is being accused of violating these norms.
Yes.
But we cannot turn a blind eye to them, and we must not allow ourselves to be distracted by clever one-sentence answers designed to give the incident a color which it does not have. That is my concluding comment.
Okay. So, while concluding this debate today, I can only say that while law must take its own course, industrialists shouldn't feel that they are being attacked to suit a certain political end or for political convenience. If we can provide such an environment in the country, maybe we can achieve the aim of double-digit growth and also jobs and generate investor confidence. Thank you so much for joining us on this debate today, gentlemen.